Deal Castle, erected by Henry VIII in 1540 as part of the coastal defence, lies to our south. But just along the beach and travelling south we pass many wooden sheds of varying neatness, used by boatmen as storehouses for sails and tackle. Standing near one of the capstans could always be found one of the old Deal boatmen, who on approaching would spell an hour or so's yarn about the deadly Goodwin Sands and some noble vessels that have met their doom there. The galleys and luggers are hauled high and dry above the reach of the sea, a sight to behold the eyes of any landsman. The lone building presented to us along here is the swimming bath of the Royal Marines. Every recruit had to learn to swim, although strangely enough it wasn't considered in those days for the ordinary jack-tar to learn. The large building almost opposite the baths was formerly used as a hospital for the Marines, being converted into barracks in 1901, then being moved to Blenheim Road. Along the green at Warmer, between the old capstan mounds, lies the church-looking building with seats on either side. This was originally, and is now again, the lifeboat house, but then it was used by the Sea Scouts. The lifeboat was taken away and the station abolished by the Royal National Lifeboat Institution in 1912. Although there was a great opposition by the local council, Warmer had been a lifeboat station since 1857 and had built up a fine record of heroic rescues and services performed in connection with the many disasters on the Goodwin Sands. Other lifeboats are stationed at North Deal and Kingsdown, and a mile or so apart, and often both were called upon at the same time. Eventually Warmer was reinstated and the Deal and Kingsdown boats were removed. The largest of the Deal luggers were big three-masted vessels which could and did go anywhere, and could do almost anything with the skilled Deal boatmen that manned them. The smaller two-masted boats were known as catboats. The last one of these luggers, or what was left of her, could be seen on the beach near the Warmer lifeboat house, and was the old Cosmopolite. A fund was raised for her purchase and she was handed over to Deal Corporation for preservation, but that body paid no heed to the fact that their town had been given the honour to cradle the race of men who made the town famous, and the lugger was allowed to fall rotten, eventually falling into pieces. In 1916, an army of khaki-dressed workers appeared on the salt marshes between Sandwich and Peggle Bay, giving the area a great transformation. They proceeded to widen and deepen the Stour in its seaward area until it was made navigable. They then cut a canal across the Great Horseshoe Bend, reclaiming 250 acres of swamp at the River Stour's entrance. They constructed wharves almost a mile long and installed dozens of electric cranes, finally ending up with the reclaimed established area of 1,500 acres. They had created the new mystery port of Richborough, of which much was still left, including the railway track, when I was a youngster. 6 months after its commencement, a regular cross-channel service of barges came from Richborough. Richborough, facing Calais, and within just a few hours steaming, became a great naval centre during the war. From this port, guns, light railways and ammunition and other war materials were taken to the coast of France and transferred to canals to be taken to points near the firing line. A later addition was a train ferry, loaded railway trucks. These were ferried to Dunkirk and Calais and offloaded to the French railway lines, from where they continued to their destination. A special bridge was built for this purpose on the Stour and was raised and lowered according to the rise and fall of the tide. Each vessel loading at Richborough could carry 54 ordinary 10-ton railway trucks, with loading and refuelling all completed within 20 minutes. The Port of Richborough was acquired by Messrs Dorman, Long and Pearson in late 1924 from which it became of very great value to the Kent coalfields. Returning to Deal, one of the worst raids was in August 1942, when 8 enemy bombers approached the town at a very low altitude, with their cannon firing as they passed overhead. Several people were injured and died, and the railway bridge in London Road was severely damaged and put out of action. Bombs struck College Road, destroying 117, 40 and 64 and number 66, killing several of the inhabitants when the properties collapsed on them. More bombs fell in Albert Road, Queen Street and St Leonard's Road. The roof of the Odeon was ripped off and part of the gasworks in Cannon Street was damaged. Swafield's laundry suite received quite a bit of damage, and properties in College Road near Ark Lane were destroyed. Near the end of the summer of 1944, the Germans concentrated their long-range guns on the shipping running through the Downs. Many of these shells could be seen landing in the sea near their targets, and many fell on the shorefront of the town, doing much damage. Shelling ceased when the garrisons at Calais surrendered on the morning of September the 30th.